But Ruru passioned on, and came with Eve to secret grass, and a green opening moist in a cool lustre. Leaned upon a tree that bathed in fairy air and saw the sky through branches, and a single parrot loud screamed from its top. There stood a golden boy, half naked, with bright limbs all beautiful. Delicate they were, in sweetness absolute. For every gleam and every soft, strong curve magically compelled the eye and smote the heart to weakness. In his hands he swung a bow, not such as human archers use, for the string moved and murmured like many bees, and nameless fragrance made the casual air a peril. He, on Ruru, that fair face turned, and his steps with lovely gesture chained. Who art thou here, in forests wandering, and thy young exquisite face is solemnized with pain? Luxuriously the gods have tortured thy heart to see such dreadful, glorious beauty agonize in thy lips and brilliant eyes, as tyrants in the fierceness of others' pangs. Joy and feel strong, clothing with brilliant fire, tyrants in Titan lands, needs must her mouth have been pure honey, and her bosom a charm whom thou desirest. Seeing not the green and common lovely sounds hast quite forgot. And Ruru, mastered by the god, replied, I know thee by thy cruel beauty bright, Kama, who makest many worlds one fire. Ah, wherefore wilt thou ask of her to increase the passion and regret? Thou knowest, great love, thy nymph, her mother, if thou truly art he, and not a dream of my disastrous soul. With the thrilled eternal smile that makes the spring, the lover of Rati, golden-limbed, replied to Ruru, Mortal, I am he. I am that Madan who informed the stars with lustre, and on life's wide canvas fill pictures of light and shade, of joy and tears, make ordinary moments wonderful, and common speech a charm. Knit life to life with interfusions of opposing souls and sudden meetings and slow sorceries. Wing the boy bridegroom to that panting breast, smite gods with mortal faces, dreadfully among great beautiful kings, and watched by eyes that burn, force on the virgin's fainting limbs, and drive her to the one face never seen, the one breast meant eternally for her. By me come wedded sweets, by me the wife's busy delight and passionate obedience, and loving eager service never sated, and happy lips, and worshipping soft eyes, and mine the husband's hungry arms, and use unwearying of old tender words, and ways, joy of her hair, and silent pleasure felt of nearness to one dear familiar shape. Not only these, but many affections bright, and soft glad things cluster around my name. I plant fraternal tender yearnings, make the sister's sweet attractiveness, and leap of heart towards imperious kindred blood, and the young mother's passionate deep look, earth's high similitude of one not earth. Teach filial heartbeat strong. These are my gifts for which men praise me. these my glories calm. But fiercer shafts I can, wild storms blown down, shaking fixed minds and melting marble natures, tears and dim bitterness and pain unpitied, racked thirsting jealousy and kind hearts made stone, and in undisciplined hued souls I sow dire vengeance and impossible cruelties, cold lusts that linger and fierce fickleness, the love's close kin of hate, brute violence and mad insatiable longings pale, and passion blind as death and deaf as swords. O mortal, all deep-souled desires and all yearnings immense are mine. So much I can. So as he spoke, his face grew wonderful with vast suggestion. His human-seeming limbs brightened with a soft splendor. Luminous hints of the concealed divinity transpired, but soon, with a slight, discontented frown. So much I can, as even the great gods learn. Only with death I wrestle in vain, until my passionate godhead all becomes a doubt. Mortal, I am the light in stars, of flowers the bloom, the nameless fragrance that pervades creation. But behind me, older than me, he comes with night and cold, tremendous shade. Hard is the way to him, most hard to find, harder to tread for perishable feet, almost impossible. Yet, O fair youth, if thou must needs go down, and thou art strong in passion and in constancy, nor easy the soul to slay that has survived such grief, steel then thyself to venture, armed by love. Yet listen first what heavy trade they drive, who would win back their dead to human arms. So much the god. But swift, with eager eyes and panting bosom and glorious flushed face, the lover. O great love, O beautiful love, but if by strength is possible of body or mind, battle of spirit or moving speech, sweet speech that makes even cruelty grow kind, or yearning melody, for I have heard that when Saraswati in heaven her harp has smitten, the cruel sweetness terrible coils, taking no denial through the soul, and tears burst from the hearts of gods. Then I, making great music, or with perfect words will strive, and staying them with desperate hands, match human strength against formidable death. But if with price, our God, what easier? Tears dreadful, innumerable, I will absolve or pay with anguish through the centuries, soul's agony and torture physical. So her small hands about my face at last I feel. Close, real hair sting me with life, and palpable breathing bosom on me press. Then, with a lenient smile, the mighty God, O ignorant fond lover, not with tears shalt thou persuade immitigable death. He will not pity all thy pangs, nor know his stony eyes with music to grow kind, nor lovely words accepts. And how wilt thou wrestle with that grim shadow who canst not save one bloom from fading? A sole thing the gods demand from all men living, sacrifice. Nor without this shall any crown be grasped. Yet many sacrifices are there, oxen and prayers and soma wine and pious flowers, blood and the fierce expense of mind and pure incense of perfect actions, perfect thoughts, or liberality wide as the sun's, or ruthless labor, or disastrous tears, exile or death, or pain more hard than death, absence, a desert from the faces loved, even sin may be a sumptuous sacrifice acceptable for unholy fruits. But none of these the inexorable shadow asks. Alone of gods, death loves not gifts. He visits the pure heart as the stained. Lo, the just man bowed helpless over his dead, nor all his virtues shall quicken that cold bosom. Near him the wild marred face and passionate, and will not leave kissing dead lips that shall not chide him more. Life the pale ghost requires. With half thy life thou mayst protract the thread too early cut of that delightful spirit. Half sweet life. O Ruru, lo thy frail precarious days, and yet how sweet they are. Simply to breathe, how warm and sweet, and ordinary things how exquisite. Thou then shalt learn when lost how luminous the daylight was, mere sleep how soft and friendly, clasping tired limbs, and the deliciousness of common food, and things indifferent thou then shalt want, regret, rejected beauty, brightnesses bestowed in vain. Wilt thou yield up, O lover, half thy sweet portion of this light and gladness, thy insufficient share, and vainly give to another? She is not thyself. Thou dost not feel the gladness in her bosom, nor with the torture of thy body will she throb and cry out. At most with tender looks and pitiful attempt to feel, move near thee, and weep how far she is from what she loves. Men live like stars that see each other in heaven, but one knows not the pleasure and the grief the others feel. He lonely rapture has, or bears his incommunicable pain. O Ruru, there are many beautiful faces, but one thyself. Think then how thou shalt mourn when thou hast shortened joy and feelst at last the shadow that thou hadst for such sweet store. He ceased, with a strange, doubtful look. But swift came back the lover's voice, like passionate rain. O idle words, for what is mere sunlight? Who would live on into extreme old age, burden the impatient world, a weary old man, and look back on a selfish time ill spent, exacting out of prodigal great life small separate pleasures like an usurer, and no rich sacrifice and no large act, finding oneself in others, nor the sweet expense of nature in her passionate gusts of love and giving, first of the soul's needs? Who is so coldly wise and does not feel how wasted were our grandiose human days in prudent, personal, unshared delights? Why dost thou mock me, friend of all the stars? How canst thou be love's God and know not this, that love burns down the body's barriers cold and laughs at difference, playing with it merely to make joy sweeter? Oh, too deeply I know the lover is not different from the loved, nor is their silence dumb to each other. He contains her heart and feels her body in his. He flushes with her heat, chills with her cold, and when she dies, oh me, the emptiness, the maim, the life, no life, the sweet and passionate oneness lost. And if by shortening of great grief won back, oh price easy, oh glad briefness aeons may envy, for we shall live not fearing death, nor feel as others yearning over the loved at night when the lamp flickers, sudden chills of dread terrible, nor at short absence agonize, wrestling with mad imagination. Us, serenely when the darkening shadow comes, one common sob shall end and soul clasp soul, leaving the body in a long dim kiss. Then, in the joys of heaven, we shall consort amid the gladness, often touching hands to make bliss sure, or in the ghastly stream if we must anguish, yet it shall not part our passionate limbs inextricably locked by one strong agony, but we shall feel hell's pain half joy through sweet companionship. God love, I weary of words. Oh, wing me rather to her, my eloquent princess of the spring, in whatsoever wintry shores she roam. He ceased. With eager forward eyes, once more a light of beauty immortal through the limbs gleaming of the boy god, and soft, sweet face, glorifying him, flushed, and he replied, Go then, O thou dear youth, and bear this flower in thy hand warily, for thou shalt come to that high meeting of the Ganges pure with vague and violent ocean. There, arise and loudly appeal, my brother, the wild sea. He spoke and stretched out his immortal hand, and Ruru's met it. All his young limbs yearned with dreadful rapture, shuddering through them. He felt in his fingers subtle, uncertain bloom, a quivering magnificence, half fire, whose petals changed like flame, and from them breathed dangerous attraction and alarmed delight, as at a peril near. He raised his eyes, but the green place was empty of the god. Only the fairy tree looked up at heaven through branches, and with recent pleasure shook. Then, over fading earth, the night was Lord. But from Shatudrus and Bipasha, streams once holy, and loved Iravati, and swift clear Chandrabhaga, and Bitasta's toil for man, went Ruru to bright, sumptuous lands by Aryan fathers not yet paced, but wild, but virgin to our fruitful human toil, where nature lay, reclined in dumb delight, alone with woodlands and the voiceless hills. He, with the widening yellow Ganges, came amazed to trackless countries where few tribes, Kirat and Poundrian, warred, worshipping trees and the great serpent, but robust wild earth, but forests with their splendid life of beasts, savage, mastered those strong inhabitants. Thither came Ruru. In a thin, soft eve, Ganges spread far her multitudinous waves, a glimmering restlessness with voices large, and from the forests of that half-seen bank a boat came, heaving over it, white-winged, with a sole silent helmsman, marble pale. Then Ruru by his side stepped in. They went down the mysterious river and beheld the great banks wide and out of sight. The world was water, and the skies to water plunged. All night, with a dim motion gliding down, he felt the dark against his eyelids. Felt, as in a dream more real than daylight, the helmsman with his dumb and marble face near him, and moving wideness all around, and that continual gliding dimly on, as one who on a shoreless water sails forever to a port he shall not win. But when the darkness paled, he heard a moan of mightier waves, and had the wide great sense of ocean, and the depths below our feet. But the boat stopped. The pilot lifted on him his marble gaze, coeval with the stars. Then, in the white-winged boat, the boy arose and saw round him the vast sea, all grey, and heaving in the pallid dawning light, loud Ruru cried across the murmur, "Hear me, O inarticulate grey ocean, hear! If any cadence in thy infinite rumour was caught from lover's moan, O sea, open thy abysses to my mortal tread. For I would travel to the despairing shades, the spheres of suffering where entangled dwell souls unreleased, and the untimely dead who weep remembering. Thither, O guide me, no despicable wayfarer, but Ruru, but son of a great rishi, from all men on earth selected for peculiar pangs, special disaster. Lo, this petalled fire, how freshly it blooms and lasts with my great pain." He held the flower out, subtly glimmering, and like a living thing, the huge sea trembled. Then rose squalling and filled the sight with waves, converging all its giant crests. Towards him innumerable waters loomed, and heaven threatened. Horizon on horizon moved, dreadfully swift. Then, with a prone wide sound, all ocean hollowing drew him swiftly in, curving with monstrous menace over him. He, down the gulf where the loud waves collapsed descending, saw with floating hairer eyes the daughters of the sea in pale green light, a million mystic breasts suddenly bare, and came beneath the flood, and stunned beheld a mute, stupendous march of waters, race to reach some viewless pit beneath the world. Ganges he saw, as men predestined rush upon a fearful doom foreseen, so run alarmed with anguished speed the river vast. Veiled to his eyes, the triple goddess rose. She, with the sound of waters, cried to him, 1,000 voices moaning with one pain, "Lover, who fearedst not sunlight to leave, with me thou mayst behold that helpless spirit lost in the gloom, if still thy burning bosom have courage to endure great nature's night in the dire lands where I, a goddess, mourn hurting my heart with my own cruelty."